Well, good morning. Thank you all for being here. This morning is September 1st, 2023, and it's an important date for the state of Texas, but it's an even more important date for the citizens of Travis County. Today, something like 700 or 800 new laws take effect, and one of them is House Bill 17. House Bill 17 makes it clear that individuals who serve in the position of district attorney and county attorney in any county in Texas can no longer ignore the laws of Texas and refuse to prosecute criminals based on specific categories of crime. Very unfortunately for the citizens of Travis County, and in particularly for the victims who have paid such a high price over the last 3 years, our district attorney and county attorney have been previously in violation of this law now that it takes effect today. So this morning we are here to announce a coalition effort to hold our district attorney, Jose Garza, and our county attorney, Delia Garza, accountable. The citizens of Travis County, the state of Texas, the legislature, the office of the governor deserve to know whether the Travis County district attorney and the Travis County county attorney will now start complying with HB17. HB17 says you cannot ignore categories of crime. You can use individual discretion based on evidence and other factors for an individual case. But if you choose not to prosecute specific categories of crime, that is now illegal, and there is a process for removing district attorneys and county attorneys that do that. So this morning, our organizations, Save Austin Now, a nonpartisan organization focused on improving standard of living and improving public safety in Austin, the Combined Law Enforcement Association of Texas, otherwise known as CLEAT, and SafeHorns are banding together to hold our district attorney and county attorney accountable based on HB17 and based on the damage they've done to public safety over the last 3 years. So how are we going to do that? We're going to do that a number of ways, but one of them that we're going to announce this morning is that we are launching a new website, garzawatch.com. It's perhaps a coincidence that the two individuals that we're seeking to hold accountable share the same last name, even though they're not related. But garzawatch.com is now live. There are 3 primary benefits to the site as it relates to what we're trying to achieve. First, we want to make it clear to employees of the district attorney's office and the county attorney's office what their rights are if they want to step forward as whistleblowers. The Texas State Whistleblower Act provides protections for whistleblowers. They cannot be fired. They are protected, and we will work with them if they're interested in ensuring they have appropriate legal counsel and that they know what their rights are. And so again, with this new law coming into effect, if policies that have been used over the last 3 years continue, then these 2 officials will be in violation of the law. And so it would be appropriate for whistleblowers who work in those offices to step forward and to share what they know. Second, we know that there are a huge number of habitual offenders because the district attorney and county attorney are no longer considering previous arrests when they decide whether to prosecute a case or not. So you have people going off and committing, dozens of the same crime over and over and over again, knowing that each time they do it, it's only considered once by the prosecutor, if it's prosecuted at all. We want to collect as much information as possible about these habitual offenders. We know business owners across our city and across our county are getting to know some of these habitual offenders who continue to show up at their place of business or in their neighborhood. So there's an easy way for people to share information about habitual offenders, and we will dig into those cases and learn as much as we can. And then third, we deeply respect the rights of victims to keep their identities private and to keep the details of what they've gone through private. But it will be helpful to the public for victims to step forward if they are comfortable doing so in telling what has happened, what their interactions were like with the district attorney or county attorney, and whether they're satisfied with the way that their case was handled. We believe that the majority of them will not be satisfied or not satisfied today. And so to the extent victims want to step forward and tell their stories, we want to work with them in whatever way would make them most comfortable. That can be connecting them with media, that can be posting on social media, it can be creating videos and sharing them, any number of things that we have available to us. So we make that very easy for people to do as well. Our message today is it is time for accountability to come to Travis County for our district attorney and county attorney. If those 2 individuals don't like the laws in the state of Texas, then they ran for the wrong office. They need to run for the Texas legislature, and they need to try to pass new laws or change the law. That is the appropriate way to affect legislation. They have one role. Their role is to enforce the law and to keep our community safe. None of us up here believe that every single person who's arrested deserves to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, irrespective of the facts and the evidence and limited resources. But what is happening today is not prosecutors using their discretion to get the best outcomes they possibly can. What we have seen for 3 years is we have seen the prosecutor's office interject before arresting information gets to a magistrate and announcing that the office will no longer seek prosecution. So that gets ahead of the legal process for a magistrate having an opportunity to see that information. We have seen them repeatedly reduce criminal charges, and I'm not talking about at a small number at a small rate, but wholesale reductions of charges from felonies to misdemeanors, from certain types of felonies to state jail felonies, and that obviously affects how seriously the case is dealt with and what the consequences are if there are any. And then finally, we've seen the overuse of personal cognizance bonds, or giving a low bond for. We're not talking about people that are jaywalking. We're talking about violent criminals engaged in things like armed robbery, unlawful possession of a firearm, crimes against children, crimes of a sexual nature. We have just now started a pretty comprehensive research effort to understand exactly how big this problem has been over the last 3 years and how it will continue in the future. And again, we are talking about hundreds, if not thousands, of cases that meet one of the three things I just said. So we're excited about the opportunity to improve public safety in Travis County by ensuring a level of accountability that has not been there for the first 3 years of these two individuals serving in this office. And I want to make one last point, and I'll introduce the rest of the speakers. This is a new problem here in Travis County. Our previous district attorney, who was a Democrat, our previous county attorney, who was a Democrat, were not doing the things that we are seeing today. This is a new movement that is spread across the country. We've seen it in other places like San Francisco, Los Angeles, Portland, Seattle, you name it, where these same types of approaches are being taken, and victims are the ones paying the price. And so we are here today to stand up on behalf of victims over the last 3 years, to try to reduce the number of victims going forward, but most importantly, to hold our district attorney and county attorney accountable. And we want to thank the governor and the legislature for passing HB17, which passed on a bipartisan basis with a good number of Democrats in the House, and I think one of 12 or so Democrats in the Senate voting with Republicans. So it passed on a bipartisan basis, giving us this tool that we can now use to hold our district attorney and county attorney accountable. Turn it over now to Cleo Patrisek, co-founder of Save Us Now.
Thank you all for being here. My name is Cleo Patrisek, and I'm the co-founder of Save Austin Now. The time has come for victims to matter again. It is time for District Attorney Garza to stop pretending that refusal to prosecute isn't emboldening criminals. HB17 represents the first step in restoring balance to a troubling trend in which victims have no voice and are assumed to be acceptable collateral damage by so-called progressives, when in reality, they are false reformers. Throughout the terms of both District Attorney Jose Garza and County Attorney Delia Garza, we have seen criminal behavior rewarded with their mass non-prosecution edicts, which has emboldened criminals to inflict more harm upon underserved communities. As a Democrat, it is disappointing to see these false reformers view the desire for holding criminals accountable through a partisan lens, especially when the communities who bear the brunt of escalated violent crime have traditionally been championed by progressives. These false reformers believe that perpetrators have no agency or responsibility for their actions. These false reformers are okay with allowing criminals to feel emboldened by lack of prosecution. These false reformers are okay pretending that victims don't exist unless they can find a way to blame law enforcement. HB17 provides a first step in restoring balance to an out-of-control system. Both District Attorney Jose Garza and County Attorney Delia Garza can no longer refuse to prosecute entire categories of crime. Victims matter, and the relentless pursuit of justice for victims by law enforcement matters. Introduce now Charley. Excuse me.
We'll introduce now SafeHorns President Joel McNichol.
morning. My name is Joelle McNew, and I'm the president of SafeHorns. We are a nonprofit organization that is dedicated to advocating for safety on and around the University of Texas at Austin campus. Crime has always been a concern for university community, as it is for many areas in Austin. We've spoken out to advocate for safety initiatives to improve the quality of life for students, faculty, staff, and visitors. We've encountered pushback from City Hall, where we've shared victim and survivor testimony, and the response has been dismissive with claims of anecdotal evidence, fear-mongering, and accusations of dishonesty. As crime incidents have increased, we began researching crime data both on and around campus. Our focus has been on repeat habitual offenders, a concern voiced by students, faculty, business owners, and community members alike. Many are agitated by the perception that law enforcement isn't doing its job. They ask us, why are criminals back on the street so soon after an incident when we've reported it and filed a crime report? Let's be clear. Law enforcement agencies are doing their jobs. However, it's the subsequent steps where significant failures occur. Often the county attorney dismisses or rejects citations without even reviewing the incident report, leading to criminals being released without accountability. This cycle often results in our community members being victimized repeatedly by the same individuals. We have been logging our habitual criminal offender list. This is the data that we have compiled. This is 107 pages from one offender. I'm happy to share the incidents with you of the type of crimes that are impacting our community, and it is egregious what is happening and no change is being made. But we deeply appreciate the individuals and organizations in our community who champion safety. This includes UTPD Chief Stevens, APD Commander Courtney Daniel, APD Acting Chief Henderson, and the many others, including dedicated community members, private security teams, and the West Campus ambassadors. Today, September 1st, 2023, marks a new chapter with House Bill 17 going into effect. As we continue to safeguard our community and work towards improved safety, we remain committed to reviewing crime incidents in our neighborhood. And we call on all Austinites, Travis County residents, and fellow Texans impacted by crime in their communities to do the same. It's imperative that we hold our district attorneys and county attorneys accountable for their sworn duty to uphold the laws in the state of Texas. Rest assured, we are watching. The eyes of Texas are upon you.
Finally, we'll hear from Charley Wilkison, who is Executive Director of the Combined Law Enforcement Association of Texas. Charley.
Thanks, sir. Okay, guys, Charley Wilkison with CLEAT, Combined Law Enforcement Associations of Texas. I hadn't had a handheld mic in so long. I get ready to roast someone. I want to begin with recognizing two real cops that are here today. Thomas Gurriel is a veteran of the Austin Police Department. He's president of the Austin Police Association, sits on the CLEAT Executive Board. And Jennifer Zemansky is the Public Affairs Director. Both these people have actually been risking the lives of the rest of us, have been safely in the Capitol or safely wherever in our workplace. I'm a Austin resident, Austin voter, and I do want to mention that I believe this is my 45th year of working in politics. Government. This is my 29th year at Combined Law Enforcement Associations of Texas, and I've never been to a presser to talk about a DA before, because whether I agreed with the last case they had, the DA's office was the administrator of the benign administration of justice. And so we have a great deal of respect for that. That's what the job is. They were elected for that, not to push a political agenda, but to be the arbiter of the facts. And you have people leaving that office, and they're advertising for certain kinds of attorneys over there. And so it's in free fall. And so that's why I'm standing here today representing the 27,000 officers across the state that are members. And I want to mention that I'm part of a team at CLEAT, and we're veterans of the Capitol. We passed Meet and Confer, a labor bill for police officers in Texas, which is known for being a hardcore anti-union state. We're used to losing. We go into Capitol every year. We have plans. We have opportunities we see to do something good. And if we get halfway there, we're generally okay. So I have a few comments about the odyssey of HB17. I would have liked to have seen a stronger legislation that allowed for the immediate removal of a DA refusing to do their duty, for picking and choosing which laws to enforce. And so in that case, I'm a happy loser because I'm okay with government. I'm okay with long hearings where the public and the legislators, duly elected legislators, who disagree with me, have the opportunity to share their views and carve out legislation. So that's what happened. But I'm pleased that we have just a smidgen of transparency that we hold the people accountable for. So after today, the people of Austin and Travis County can hold tightly to the reasonable expectation that the safety of our person, the safety of our families, and the safety and sanctity of our homes should be the top priority of the district attorney's office. If that's not the case, then we have this opportunity to show the public what's really been going on for 3 years. I do have a prediction. These are political animals. They're going to reel it in. It's re-election. They're going to start walking the walk. If they don't, then we'll have our answer. We deserve freedom from fear. Crime victims deserve justice, and criminals deserve prosecution. You can no longer claim social and economic justice. That's a line that's being used pretty regularly in my party, in an environment where crime victims have nowhere to turn. From narcotics to theft to homicide, the people of this community are suffering consequences of a district attorney and county attorney who ran the promise to let the criminals run free and reimagine policing in this state. As you're reimagining, HB17 says you're done. You can no longer continue down this whimsical journey of interpreting the law as you want and letting entire categories of criminals walk out before the evidence is heard, before the facts are gathered. You can no longer claim to protect the politically vulnerable if those accused of family violence skip a step in the criminal justice process and return to the scene of the 911 call. That's just wrong. Perpetrators of violence against women need to face the real criminal justice system, not a system reimagined by those who never answered the 911 call for a battered female and never filed a report and never rescued a person out of a home. You can no longer offer nationally crafted progressive political platitude opposing the proliferation of guns in society when gun runners have found a safe haven in Austin, Texas, and Travis County. Armed robbery, assault with a deadly weapon, should be treated as such. Let's start enforcing the gun laws and keeping the criminals behind bars. 5 police officers have been shot down the road in San Antonio of people that have been released by a similar district attorney. Thanks to the passage of HB17, goes into effect today, CLEAT and our communities across the state, we worked hard to ensure that this piece of legislation got to the finish line. And we asked the governor to sign it. And no, it's not perfect, but it's a damn good start. Thank you.
Just a couple last points, then we'll take questions. I'm so grateful to Charley for recognizing these 2 officers. we want to make absolutely clear that our Austin police officers, our Travis County Sheriff deputies are doing the very best they can under extraordinarily difficult circumstances. That's to say nothing of the staffing crisis the APD is dealing with and the 911 call center staffing crisis. But they continue to arrest people who are being released. And it must, dampen their sense that they are making a difference to the extent they want to, knowing that criminals are consistently being released and committing more and more crimes. So again, today our message is enough is enough. And it's not just us saying it. It's the state of Texas saying it. When the legislature passed on a bipartisan basis HB17, they sent a very clear message to district attorneys and county attorneys in all 254 counties in Texas. I would wager that Charley and other law enforcement professionals would agree that in something like 248 of those 254 counties, we have almost no problem with district attorneys and county attorneys being in violation of HB17. There's 5 or 6 counties in the state where this law could apply. And I would argue of the ones that we're thinking of, Travis County is the single worst. And so what we're going to do starting today is we're going to do an immense amount of research on these cases, looking backward in present day and looking forward. And I would hope that media would consider asking the district attorney and asking the county attorney 2 questions after today. The first is, do they believe they've been in violation of HB17 up till today? If they agree, that would be progress, that would be honesty. The follow-up question would be, are you going to stop violating HB17 starting today? If they don't agree they've been violating the law, then they shouldn't be changing anything. They should be continuing their policies as they are, and we will look very, very closely with urgency and intensity at the opportunities available to us and to everyone in Travis County as it relates to the enforcement of HB17. Any questions? Yes, ma'am. Go.
Yeah, for me, mostly about I know you guys are complaining right now, advocating more for the victims. We're seeing a lot of shootings, crimes, and I saw the post from the association just yesterday. Anything you would like to say, especially when it comes to incidents that keep happening, like the one from yesterday at the Arboretum? I mean, that's in the top of mind of many people because it was a commercial plaza. I know we're talking more about the prosecution side. We're still on the investigation side on that specific case.
Right.
But anything you guys would like to say as an organization that pretty much advocates for victims of violence about that specific incident?
Yeah, I mean, it would be good to know if the district attorney and county attorney's offices are tracking habitual offenders. I would guarantee you, I would wager my house that they're not. We know that they are not considering previous offenses when they make prosecuting decisions based on current charges. The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior, and that's more true of criminals than it is of any type of person in the world. And so if someone is possessing unlawfully possessing a weapon or is committing a violent crime, and they are not prosecuted for that crime or they're under prosecuted for that crime, they're not going to learn the lesson, and it puts the community at greater risk. We have started an effort to analyze the habitual offenders in our county. It's an immense effort, folks. I mean, we're going to be looking at thousands of individuals. It's bad enough they committed a crime once. It's even worse they continue to do it with the district attorney and county attorney turning a blind eye to them. Anyone else want to respond to that on habitual offenders? Okay. Any other questions?
So on HB17, what you announced today, it sounds like you're soliciting information, you're
We are.
starting research, it's kind of gathering materials and information. But on that, the law that's now in effect, kind of a possible next step is getting to that petition process. Is that something that you see in the future?
Yeah, I mean, look, first of all, it's up to the district attorney, county attorney, right? I mean, if it'll be interesting to see whether they think they've been in violation of the law or they're going to change anything. We can tell you from information that we have that edicts were made by the district attorney in particular about prosecuting decisions in rooms with leading law enforcement folks in our community on the first day he was in office and even since then. So we'll see if he starts saying different things either privately or publicly. But yes, and of course petition is an unusual word. It's not a petition in the sense that, say, Weston now has experience. It's basically presenting evidence that someone is in violation of the law. We are saying today that our organizations are committed to ensuring that our district attorney and county attorney follow HB17. And if they are proven not to do that, we absolutely will take advantage of the law as it exists. We would hope that every person who serves in office in any party at any level of government would not knowingly violate a law. This is such a unique situation because the law specifically identifies these two offices and these two officials, these positions in the law. This law doesn't apply to other people. It only applies to the district attorney and to the county attorney. And so the fact that it passed on a bipartisan basis should tell everyone, and in particular tell these two individuals, that there's a problem. That the legislature believes they have been doing this, and that is why there is a need for a state law, and that is why it passed on a bipartisan basis. So, as I said before, I don't understand why you run for prosecutor in a county as large as Travis County if you don't intend to enforce the law. It's perhaps you don't understand what the position is. In both of these cases, there was, I think, limited experience by the people who ended up getting elected. But they have a responsibility to the employees of their office, to the oath they swore when they took office, to the residents of Travis County, to people who have been victimized by criminals over the last 3 years, to take their work seriously, to uphold their oath, to follow the law, including HB17. Admitting a mistake is a sign of strength. It's not a sign of weakness. And if they want to argue that they believe they were doing the right thing, but they can't continue to do that now because the state law has taken effect, that at least is an intellectually honest way to look at the issue. We obviously strongly disagree with their conduct over the last 3 years. But HB17 is very clear. And so you would hope the top prosecutors in a county would not directly and intentionally violate a state law that directly applies to them. And today they have a decision to make, and it'll be interesting to see what that decision is. Any other questions?
I'll wait for Spanish. Separate.
Oh yeah, we did in a minute, yeah. Anything else? Anybody, anything else? Okay. Thank you all very much. Take care.